We see it in the news. Container ships clog ports, Christmas decorations cannot reach stores in time, and car dealers pacing empty lots awaiting inventory. The breakdown of the global network of trade that supports manufacturing and everyday consumer purchases has arrived. But from where? Cable news know-it-alls eagerly claim to have identified the cause, but these are all self-deceptions. Instead, the true cause is the most human of errors. We mistakenly believe that past experiences will be repeated. Also, we like to take the most efficient path, even if that comes with greater risk. Trading systems have circular dependencies that cannot be reliably anticipated, often only revealed after a sequence of usually mundane occurrences. These stress the system and are then exacerbated by cunning middlemen, selfish hoarders, and clumsy material handlers. Only then does a crisis ensue. However, a crisis always illuminates our need for change. In this case, how we have mismanaged modern supply chains. The supply chains of yesteryear were mainly products of proximity to resources. In the case of autos, for example, this featured waterways, adjacent industrial suppliers, and a skilled labor pool. Before Detroit became the Motor City, it first had to contend with rivals New York, Rochester, Indianapolis, and Chicago. Over a period of 2 decades ending in 1920, these rival centers were shuttered. In a similar period of time, but a century later, information and communication technology extended supply chains beyond familiar clusters. Trading with nearly anywhere is now considered doable. Meanwhile, material handling has driven shipping costs down, increased speed, and all but eliminated damage, even for perishables. Combined, these occurrences disrupted parochial trading systems. Each participant extended their gaze to distant sources for their own reasons. Cost was one, for sure. Because there's no utility in having just some of materials needed for production, however, each new pin in the map multiplied geopolitical and transportation risks, among others. Historically, manufacturers managed supply risk was by maintaining inventories, concurrently sourcing the same thing from multiple suppliers, and making acquisitions and vertically integrating or bringing things in-house. However, coinciding with the ascendance of globalization, these just-in-case traditional bulwarks were cast aside in favor of management philosophies that emphasized familiar suppliers, outsourcing of non-core businesses, lean processes, and just-in-time inventories. As time passed, sources began to consolidate, and products themselves became more complex, requiring semiconductors, for example, that were common to a broad variety of products. The result nowadays is generally extended supply chains that are global, efficient, and more perilously constituted than any that have gone before. Failures are less avoidable and not easily managed, even if they were a management priority. Executives expected supply chains to be as reliable as daybreak, and they seldom get attention until broken. Supply chain personnel know the system is unstable, but too often management looks to them for cost, not risk management. The only safety net in place for those attempting to avoid catastrophe relies on information tools that, among other features, ply the internet sniffing out notice of supply disruptions. These early warning systems require a large volume of information to be analyzed and interrupted, but too often this is mismanaged and only haphazardly maintained. The result? An avalanche of banal emails announcing mainly weather events, usually in faraway places that don't obviously impact supply, and which are dutifully ignored. Besides, even if impeccably managed, these tools are like having a Bloomberg machine. If you have one, great. If everyone has one, the market responds so efficiently to any occurrence that it buys no practical advantage. Any redesign of global supply chains will need to find a better way to manage risk. It would be a mistake to think we could simply return to the approaches of the past. After all, past experiences are a poor indicator of the future, but there is a more modern middle ground between the extremes of efficiency and resiliency. Just as companies have established dedicated transformational teams to drive organizational change or new tools adoption, we have entered an age where supply chain personnel must be dedicated to planning resiliency. New risk mitigation systems would encompass strategically holding higher inventories of critical components or materials, combining long-term fixed-price contracts with spot pricing. We need personnel that are prepared to fight fires before they break out, with pre-approved action plans that would be ready at the first sign of trouble, thereby avoiding the bumbling that commonly accompanies corporate decision-making, especially in a crisis. Doing this would cost money for sure, but as circumstances are proving not doing it, also come a significant cost revenue from unfilled sales orders. There will be expediting costs, and the premiums added by the aforementioned profiteers, most obviously. Customer, supplier, shareholder, and employee goodwill will be injured as well. The difference is that a fully fledged risk management team is budgeted. Like insurance, it's a measured expense, a hedge against a catastrophic occurrence.